Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishikam Vitam Scha Om Ajnana Timarandasya Gyananchana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gaurva Bhistam Supurakam Guruganara Sesha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipunam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Abhidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwagurun Cha Divyad Bhagavad Prem Noe Bija Pradam Devam Divyatanum Suchanda Varanam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyambunim Sri Siddhanta Nidim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Madeka Sharanam Nyashishvara Sridharam Vanchakopatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. This is with translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And this is the Madhya-lila chapter 18, the Lord's visit to Sri Vrindaban. So I'll begin with verse number 153. This is when the devotees, headed by Balabhadra Bhattacharya, they're concerned about Mahaprabhu's well-being. He according to their perception, he has almost drowned in the Akrura Ghat because he remembered how when Akrura was leaving the Vrindaban and going to Mathura, how he came to Akrura Ghat, and that the Lord Krishna saw he saw the Goloka Vrindaban there, and when he was bathing in the Jamuna, and so then Mahaprabhu went underwater, trying to perceive in that way the vision of Krishna, and the residents of Vrindaban. They also saw the spiritual world. So Mahaprabhu went underwater and was like that, meditating, and the perception of the devotees with him, he was drowning. So they took Mahaprabhu and brought him out of the water, and they're thinking that Mahaprabhu is always in ecstasy in Vrindaban, so deeply absorbed that he won't be safe, because he rolls on the ground, he cuts himself with thorns, he submerges himself in the water of the Jamuna, he becomes so ecstatic. They're thinking for his safety, we should take him out of Vrindaban. And they will suggest that he goes to Prayag. So I'm starting with this verse, 153, where Balabhadra Bhattacharya and the devotees have told Mahaprabhu that they want to go to Prayag. And Tumi Amaya Ani Dekaila Vrindavan Eirina Amin Nariba Korite Shodan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "You have brought me here to show me Vrindaban. I am very much indebted to you, and I shall not be able to repay this debt. Jaitomari chami saita koriba jahanloya jahatumi tahai jaiba. Whatever you desire, I must do. Wherever you take me, I shall go." This is the indebtedness of Mahaprabhu with his devotees. Pratakale Mahaprabhu pratasnana koila Vrindavana chadiba jani premavesha hoila. The next morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got up early after taking his bath. He became ecstatic with love, knowing that he now had to leave Vrindavan. So even the separation from Vrindavan fills Mahaprabhu with ecstasy. Bhaya vikaranahi prima vishtaman Bhattacharya kohe chala jai Mahavan. Although the Lord did not exhibit any external symptoms, his mind was filled with ecstatic love. At that time, Balabhadra Bhattacharya said, "Let us go to Mahavan, Gokula. Eta bole Mahaprabhu Vrindaban, I am very much indebted to you, and I shall not be able to repay this debt. Whatever you desire, I must do. Wherever you take me, I shall go." So Mahaprabhu is always submissive to his devotees. He is showing the heart of a devotee, and he's always very so merciful and inclined to be and please his devotees. Eta bole Mahaprabhu no kaya vashaya bharakore Bhattacharya chalila loya. So Mahaprabhu, Balabhadra Bhattacharya made Mahaprabhu sit aboard a boat, and then they crossed the river Jamuna. Premi Krishnadasa Ara Saita Brahman Ganga Tirapate Jaibar Vigya Duijan. Both Rajaput Krishnadas and Sanodiya and the Sanodiya Brahman knew the path along the Ganges very well. So, let's see. They're taking Mahaprabhu to Prayag, and they're going by the path of the Ganges. So let me go back here and see. This is Mahaprabhu said, "I will be very happy if we all leave and take the path." Let's see. No, pardon me. Balabhadra said, "I will be very happy if we all leave and take the path by the banks of the Ganges. Then we can have the opportunity of bathing in the Ganges at Prayag during Mahashankranti." So they say, "Let us go to Mahavan, Gokula," and then they're heading towards the path going along the banks of the Ganges to go to Prayag. So they're heading in that direction. Jaite Brikatali Prabhu Sab Loya Basila Sabarapata Shranti Dekiya. While walking, Mahaprabhu, understanding that the others were fatigued, took them all beneath a tree and sat down. Sevrika Nikate Chari Bahu Gabigan Tahadeki Mahaprabhu Ulasitaman. There were many cows grazing near the tree, and the Lord was very pleased to see them. Achambite ek gopa bamshi bajala shuni Mahaprabhu maha primavesha hoila. Suddenly a cowherd boy blew on his flute, and immediately the Lord was struck with ecstatic love. Achaitanaya Prabhu bhumete padila muke fena pade nashai shvasa ruda hoila. Filled with ecstatic love, the Lord fell to the ground unconscious. He foamed about the mouth, and his breathing stopped. So Mahaprabhu is deeply absorbed in ecstasy, thinking of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindaban. Henakale dahan asojarada shaila mulecha patana goda hoite utarila. Because he had heard a cowherd boy playing on his flute, and Mahaprabhu became overwhelmed with ecstatic love. While the Lord was unconscious, 10 cavalry soldiers belonging to the Muslim Patana military order rode up and dismounted. So the Muslim soldiers have arrived, and they see Mahaprabhu there. He has become unconscious practically. His breathing has stopped. He's showing all these ecstatic symptoms, but of course they see Mahaprabhu, and they don't understand. Of course, the Muslim cavalry comes. They don't understand what's going on with Mahaprabhu. Prabhuri dekiya molecha koraye bichar ejati pashachila suvarna par. Seeing the Lord unconscious, the soldiers thought, This sannyasi must have possessed a large quantity of gold. Echare batojara dutura kaujana mare dari jache jatir sabdanaloya. These 4 rogues here must have taken away that sannyasi's riches after killing him by making him take the poison dutara. So they think Mahaprabhu is lying on the ground like this because he's been poisoned. Tabise patanachari janere mandila katite chahe goriya sab kapite lagila. Thinking this, that the Pathan soldiers arrested the 4 persons and decided to kill them. Because of this, the 2 Bengalis began to tremble. The 4 persons were Balabhadra Bhattacharya, his assistant Brahmin, Rajaput Krishnadas, who's the Kshatriya family person, the Kshatriya from the other side of the Jamuna, who is joined with Mahaprabhu, and the Sanodiya Brahmin, devotee of Madhavendra Puri. Krishnadas, Rajaputa, nearby, Se Bora, Se Vipran, nearby, Se Muke Boradara. The devotee Krishnadas, who belonged to the Rajaputra race, was very fearless. The Sanodiya Brahmin was also fearless, and he spoke very bravely. So the Sanodiya Brahmin is the Brahmin from Mathura, and also the Rajaput Krishnadas, the Kshatriya, they are not afraid. Viprakohe Patan Tomar Patsara Dohai Chalatumiami Shikdar Pashajai. So these 2 are not afraid, but Balabhadra Bhattacharya and the other assistant, the assistant to Balabhadra Bhattacharya, they're Bengalis, and they're trembling because they think they're about to be killed. The Brahmin, the Sanodiya Brahmin said, you Pathan soldiers are all under the protection of your king. Let us go to your commander and get his decision. E jati amar guru ami mathura brahman patsara age ache mora shatajan. This sannyasi is my spiritual master, and I am from Mathura. I am a Brahmin, and I know many people who are in the service of the Muslim king. E jati byadite kabu hoyana murchita Abai Chaitanya Paibe Hoibe Samvita. This sannyasi sometimes falls unconscious due to the influence of a disease. Please sit down here and you will see that he will very soon regain consciousness and his normal conditions. So he's telling them, I'm a Brahmin, I have connections with the king, and this sannyasi here, who you're thinking is dead, he's just become unconscious because of the effect of some disease. But you'll see he'll return to consciousness. And I have connections. It's not like we are just some rogues. So you should consider things more deeply. Kaneka ihan vaisha bandi rakaha shabare ihake puchiya tabe maria sabare. Sit down here for a while and keep us all under arrest. When the sannyasi regains his senses, you can question him. Then if you like, you can kill us all. Patana kohe tumi paschima matura duijan, Gaudiya tak e kape duijan. The Pathan soldier said, you are all rogues. One of you belongs to the western lands, one to the district of Mathura, and the other 2 who are trembling belong to Bengal. So the trembling ones, they know, they say, oh, these Bengalis, they're trembling. And the 2 of you, you're from here, one of you is from the western part of the Mathura Mandala. So, and Krishnadas kohe amar gara egrame duishata turkiache shatika kamane. Rajaput Krishnadas said, I have my home here, and I also have about 200 Turkish soldiers and about 100 cannons. Ekayani asibe sab amijari fukari goda pida lutit labe toma sabmari. If I call loudly, they will come immediately to kill you and plunder your horses and saddles. Gaudiya Bhattapada nahi tumi Bhattapad Tirtabase luta ara chaha maribar. The Bengali pilgrims are not rogues. You are rogues, for you want to kill the pilgrims and plunder them. Rajput Krishnadas says, I live near here, and I have also living with me as guards many Turkish soldiers, and if I call them, they'll come here and they'll immediately kill you and take your horses and saddles. And then he says, and these Bengali, why are you threatening? These Bengali pilgrims are not rogues. You are rogues, for you want to kill the pilgrims and plunder them. Shunya Patana More, Sankocha Hoila, Henakali Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Paila. Upon hearing the challenge, the Pathan soldiers became hesitant. Then suddenly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regained consciousness. Hunkara kore yaute, bole hari hari, premabeshe nritya kore, urdhva bahu kore. Coming to his senses, the Lord very loudly began chanting the holy name. Hari, Hari! The Lord raised his arms upward and began to dance in ecstatic love. Premabeshe Prabhu Jabe Korana Chitkar Mulechera Ridoye Jena Lage Seladar. When the Lord shouted very loudly in ecstatic love, it appeared to the Muslim soldiers that their hearts were struck by thunderbolts. Baya Baya Mulecha Chari Dila Charijan Prabhuna Dekila Nija Ganera Bandan. Seized by fear, all the Pathan soldiers immediately released the four persons. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not see his personal associates arrested. So when Mahaprabhu regained consciousness, he stood up and he began crying loudly, Hari, Hari, in ecstasy. And the Pathan or Muslim soldiers, they release everyone because they see Mahaprabhu is not dead. And they were thinking that he's been poisoned by these rogues. Bhattacharya, Ashi Prabhure, Dori Basaila, Molechagan, Deki, Mahaprabhu, Baya Hoila. At that time, Balabhadra Bhattacharya went to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and made him sit down. Seeing the Muslim soldiers, the Lord regained his normal senses. Molechagan Ashi Prabhu, Bandila Charan, Prabhu Age Kohe E Tak Charijan. All the Muslim soldiers then came before the Lord, worshipped his lotus feet, and said, here are four rogues. Echari mili tomai, dutara kaljana, tomara danaloila tomai, pagala korea. These rogues have made you take dutara. Having made you mad, they have taken all your possessions. So they told him, you were poisoned, that's why, and they wanted to rob you. Then Mahaprabhu answers, Prabhu Kohen Tak Nahe Mora Sangijan Bhikuka Sanyasi Mora Nahi Kichudan. Mahaprabhu said, these are not rogues. They are my associates. Being a sannyasi beggar, I do not possess anything. I don't have anything. They cannot rob me of. I don't have any riches. I don't have anything. Mrigi Vyaditeyami Kabu Hoi Achetan Echari Doya Kori Korana Phalan. Due to epilepsy, I sometimes fall unconscious. Out of their mercy, these four men maintained me. So I wasn't poisoned. I suffer from epilepsy. Sometimes I fall unconscious, Mahaprabhu said. Se Mulacha Madhye Ek Parama Gambir Kalabastra Pareshe Loke Kohe Pira. Among the Muslims was a grave person who was wearing a black dress. People called him a saintly person. Chitta Arda Hoila Tara Prabhure Dekya Nirvishesh Brahma Stape Swashastra Utaya. The heart of that saintly person softened upon seeing Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wanted to talk to him and establish impersonal Brahman on the basis of his own scripture, the Koran. And they're thinking Mahaprabhu will accept his presentation about impersonalism and how it's also proved not just by the Vedic literatures but also by the Koran. Advaita Brahmavad se Korila Stapan Tarashastra Jukte Tare Prabhu Koilakan. And it is also true in so many religions, they don't know any personal information about the Lord, so they come to conclusions of impersonalism. That the Supreme is without form and without qualities, and that the spirit souls, they're thinking that individual persons, they are also part of that Brahman. So this is kind of a very hazy conception of what is the qualities of the Supreme, what are the qualities of the individual. They're thinking everything is one, that is all part of this great Brahman. You merge with that. So Advaita Brahmavan se Korila Stapan Tarashastra Jukte Tare Prabhu Koila Kandan. When that person tried to establish the impersonal Brahman conception of the absolute truth on the basis of the Koran, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refuted his argument. Mahaprabhu refutes impersonalism. He did it with Balabhadra Bhattacharya. He did it with the Mayavad sannyasis, Varanasi. Here also, the saint, one of the persons who's known as being a little more saintly among the Muslim Pathan soldiers. He tries to establish a concept of impersonalism, and Mahaprabhu refuted everything he said. Jai Jai Gohila Prabhu Sakali Kandila Uttarana Aishe Muke Mahastabda Hoila. Whatever arguments he put forward, the Lord refuted them all. Finally, the person became stunned and could not speak. Prabhu Kohe Tomara Shastra Stape Nirvisheshe Taha Kandi Savishesha Stapiyache Seshe. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, the Koran certainly establishes impersonalism, but at the end it refutes that impersonalism and establishes the personal God. Tomara Shastre Ko Heseshe Ekai Ishwar Sarvaishvarya Purnateho Shamala Kolebar Shama Kolebar Tomara Shastre Ko Heseshe Ekai Ishwar Sarvaishvarya Purnateho Shama Kolevar. The Koran accepts the fact that ultimately there is only one God. He is full of opulence, and his bodily feature and his bodily complexion is blackish. The Koran accepts the fact that ultimately there is only one God. He is full of opulence, and his bodily complexion is blackish. Satchidananda Deho Purna Brahmasvarup Sarvatma Sarvagya Nitya Sarvadi Swarup. According to the Koran, the Lord has a supreme, blissful, transcendental body. He is the absolute truth and the all-pervading, omniscient, and eternal being. He is the origin of everything. Shrishti stiti pralay taha hoite hoy stula sukma jagatera teho samashroy. Creation, maintenance, and dissolution come from him. He is the original shelter of all gross and subtle cosmic manifestations. Sarva Shrestha, Sarva Radya, Karanera Karan, Tarabhakye, Hoy Jiver, Samsara Taran. The Lord is the supreme truth, worshipable by everyone. He is the cause of all causes. By engaging in his devotional service, the living entity is relieved from material existence. The Lord is the supreme truth, worshipable by everyone. He is the cause of all causes. By engaging in his devotional service, the living entity is relieved from material existence. Tara seva bina jiva na jai samsar, tahara charane priti purushartasar. No conditioned soul can get out of material bondage without serving the Supreme Lord. Love at his lotus feet is the ultimate goal of life. Mokshadi anandajar nahi ekkan purnananda praptitara charana sevan. The happiness of liberation, whereby one merges into the Lord's existence, cannot even be compared to a fragment of the transcendental bliss obtained by service unto the Lord's lotus feet. Karma gyan jogage Koriya stapan sabkhandi stape ishwara tahara sevan. In the Koran, there are descriptions of fruitive activity, speculative knowledge, mystic power, and union with the Supreme Lord. But ultimately, all this is refuted and the Lord's personal feature established along with his devotional service. Well, that is the conclusion of Mahaprabhu says. He says in the Koran, there are descriptions of fruitive activity, speculative knowledge, mystic power, and union with the Supreme. But ultimately, all this is refuted in the Lord's personal feature, established along with his devotional service. Tomara pandita sabar nahi shastra gyan, purva para bidi madhye para balavan. The scholars of the Koran are not very advanced in knowledge. Although there are many methods prescribed, they do not know that the ultimate conclusion should be considered the most powerful. You should accept the ultimate conclusion, not so many, just like Bhagavad Gita, so many paths may be offered, but you want to understand what is the ultimate conclusion, what is the purpose, what is the conclusion. Then you will understand. The Lord's personal feature is established along with his devotional service. Mahaprabhu says this is the conclusion. And that's what should be considered as most important. Nija Shastra deki tumi bichar korea, ki likiache seshe kaha nirnoi korea. Sing your own Koran and deliberating over what is written there. What is your conclusion? Mulechako he jay kaha se satya hoy, shastre likiache keho, loitena parai. The saintly Muslim replied, all that you have said is true. This has certainly been written in the Koran, but our scholars can neither understand nor accept it. Dandavat. Nirvisesha Gosai Loya, Korana Vyakyan, Sakara Gosai Sebya, Karo Nahi Gyan. Usually they describe the Lord's impersonal aspect, but they hardly know the Lord's personal feature is worshipable. They are undoubtedly lacking this knowledge. The saintly Muslim admitted that those who were supposedly conversant in the teachings of the Koran should not ultimately those who are conversant in the teachings of the Koran could not ultimately understand the essence of the Koran. Because of this, they accepted only the Lord's impersonal feature. Generally, they recite and explain this portion only. Although the transcendental body of the Lord is worshipable, most of them are unaware of this. Saita Gosai Tumi Sakadishwar More Kripa Koras Mui Agogya Pamar. Saita Gosai Tumi Sakadishwar More Kripa Kora Mui Ajogya Pamar. Yeah. Then that Muslim scholar concludes, since you are the very same Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, please be merciful upon me. I am fallen and unfit. Saitya Gosai Tumi, Sakarishwar, Mora Kripa Koramui, Ajogya Pamar. Since you are the very same Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, please be merciful upon me. I am fallen and unfit. Aneka dekinu mui mulecha shastra hoite sadhya sadhana bastu nari nirdarite. I have studied the Muslim scripture very extensively, but from it I cannot conclusively decide what the ultimate goal of life is or how I can approach it. Tumideki jiva mora bole Krishna nam. Ame boragyani e geisha e gela abhiman. Now that I've seen you, my tongue is chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. The false prestige I felt from being a learned scholar is now gone. So he's a learned scholar, but he says, just by seeing you, I've become, my illusion is now dissipated by seeing Mahaprabhu. Kripa kori bolo, Kripa kori balo more sadhya sadhane, eta bole pare Mahaprabhu charane. Saying this, the saintly Muslim fell at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and requested him to speak of life's ultimate goal and the process by which it could be obtained. Prabhu kohe uta Krishna nama tumi loila, koti janmera pap gela pavitra hoila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, please get up. You have chanted the holy name of Krishna. Therefore, the sinful reactions you have accrued for many millions of lives are now gone. You are now pure. So Mahaprabhu, because you have chanted the holy names and you have chanted the holy name of Krishna, therefore the sinful reactions you have accrued for many millions of lives are now gone. You are now pure. Krishna koha koilu upadesh, sabe Krishna kohe sabar hoila premavesh. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told all the Muslims there, chant the holy name of Krishna, chant the holy name of Krishna. As they all began to chant, they were overwhelmed by ecstatic love. Ramadas, Bole Prabhu, Prabhu Tarak Akinchan. Let's see. Krishna koha koilu upadesh, sabe Krishna kohe sabar hoila primavesh. Mahaprabhu then told all the Muslims there, chant the holy name of Krishna, chant the holy name of Krishna. As they began to chant, they were overwhelmed by ecstatic love. Ramadas bole Prabhu tara koila nam, ara ek patana tara nama Vijuli Khan. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly initiated the saintly Muslim by advising him to chant the holy name of Krishna. The Muslim's name was changed to Ramadas. Another Pathan Muslim present there was named Vijuli Khan. After being initiated, the devotees in the Krishna conscious movement changed their names. Whenever a person in the Western world becomes interested in this Krishna consciousness movement, he is initiated by this process. In India, they are falsely accused of converting Mlechas and Yavanas to the Hindu religion. In India, we are falsely accused of converting Mlechas and Yavanas to the Hindu religion. In India, there are many Mayavadi sannyasis known as Jagat Guru, although they have hardly visited the whole world. Some are not not even sufficiently educated, yet they make accusations against our mission and accuse us of destroying the principles of the Hindu religion by accepting Muslims and Yavanas as Vaishnavas. Such people are simply envious. We're not spoiling the Hindu system of religion, but are simply following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by traveling all over the world and accepting those who are interested in understanding Krishna as Krishnadas or Ramadas. By the process of a bona fide initiation, their names are changed. Alpa, Vyasa, Tara, Rajara, Kumar, Ramadas, Adi, Patana, Chakara, Tahar. When Vijuli Khan was very young, and he was the son of the king. All the other Muslims or Pathanas, headed by Ramadas, were his servants. So the one who spoke first with Mahaprabhu, Ramadas, became initiated by Mahaprabhu when Mahaprabhu told him, "You are chanting the holy name." And but the main person of this group of soldiers is Vijuli Khan. Vijuli Khan was very young, and he was the son of the king. All the other Muslims or Pathanas, headed by Ramadas, were his servants. Krishna Boli Pade Se Mahaprabhu Pai Prabhu Sri Charana Dila Tahara Matai. Vijuli Khan also fell down at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord placed his foot on his head. Tasabare Kripa Kori Prabhuta Shalila Se Patana Sab Vairagi Hoila. After bestowing his mercy upon them in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left. All those Pathan Muslims then became mendicants. Patana Vaishnava Bole Hoila Tarakyati Sarvatra Kohia Bule Mahaprabhu Kirti. Patana Vaishnava Bole Hoila Tarakyati Patana Vaishnava Bole Hoila Tarakyati Sarvatra Kohia Bule Mahaprabhu Kirti. Later, these very Pathans became, the very Pathanas, or the soldiers, became celebrated as the Pathana Vaishnavas. They toured all over the country and chanted the glorious activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Say Vijuli Khan Hoila Mahabhagavat Sarvatirte Hoila Tara Parama Mahatva. Vijuli Khan became a greatly advanced devotee, and his importance was celebrated at every holy place of pilgrimage. Aiche Lila Kori Prabhu Sri Krishna Chaitanya Paschimeya Siya Koila Javanadi Danya. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed his pastimes. Coming to the western part of India, he bestowed good fortune upon the Yavanas and Mlechas. Soroketre Ashi Prabhu Koila Ganga Snan Tora Sange. Soroketre Ashi Prabhu Koila Ganga Snan Ganga Tira Pate Koila Prayage Prayan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next went to a holy place of pilgrimage called Sorokshetra. He took his bath in the Ganges there and started for Prayag on the path along the banks of the Ganges. Say Vipre Krishnadase Prabhu Vidai Dila Jorahate Duijana Kohite Lagila. At Sorokshetra, the Lord requested the Sanodiya Brahmin and Rajaput Krishnadas to return home, but with folded hands they began to speak as follows. Prayag Paryanta Duhe Toma Sange Jab Tomara Charana Sangha Punakahan Bhab. They prayed, let us go to Prayag with you. If we do not go, when shall we again get the association of your lotus feet? Mulecha Desha Keho Kahan Koraye Upadesh Bhattacharya padila kohite na jayanena bhat. This country is mainly occupied by Muslims. At any place, someone can create a disturbance. And although your companion, Balabhadra Bhattacharya, is a learned scholar, he does not know how to speak the local language. So they want to go with Mahaprabhu, and they say this whole country is inhabited by Muslims, and you don't even speak. You and your servants, they don't speak the local language, but we do, and it is necessary that therefore we go with you. And when will we, if we do not go, when shall we again get the chance to be with you? This country is mainly occupied by Muslims. At any place, someone can create a disturbance, and although your companion, Balabhadra Bhattacharya, is a learned scholar, he does not know how to speak the local language. Shuni Mahaprabhu Ishad Hasite Lagila Se Duijan Prabhur Sange Chali Aila. Hearing this, Mahaprabhu accepted their proposal by smiling mildly. Thus, those two persons continued to accompany him. The Rajaput Krishnadas, the Kshatriya-like person who surrendered to Mahaprabhu, and also the Sanodiya Brahmin from Mathura. Jai Jai Jan Prabhur Paila Darshan Se Premi Mata Hoy Kore Krishna Sankirtan. Whoever got to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would feel himself overwhelmed with ecstatic love and would begin to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Tara Sange Anyonye Tara Sangha Ana E Mata Vaishnava Koila Saba Desha Grama. Whoever met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became a Vaishnava, and whoever met that Vaishnava also became a Vaishnava. In this way, all the towns and villages became Vaishnava, one after the other. Dakina Jaite Jaiche Shakti Prakashila Se Mata Paschima Desh Preme Basaila. Just as the Lord inundated South India on his tour there, he also inundated the western part of the country with love of Godhead. According to some opinions, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Kurukshetra while going to Prayag from Vrindaban. There is a temple of Bhadrakali in Kurukshetra, and near that temple there is a temple containing the deity of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Emata Chali Prabhu Prayag Aila Dashadin Tribenite Makara Snanak Koila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finally arrived at Prayag, and for 10 successive days bathed in the confluence of the rivers Jamuna and Ganges during the festival of Makara Shankranti, Mahamag. Vrindavana Gamana Prabhu Charita Ananta Sahasra Badana Jara Nahi Pana Anta. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's visit to Vrindaban and his activities there are unlimited. Even Lord Sesha, who has thousands of hoods, cannot reach the end of his activities. Tahan ke kohite pare, taha ke kohite pare, kudra jiva haya, digdarshana koilun mui sutra kartya. Oh, this is Tahake kohite pare kudra jiva haya digdarshana koilun mui sutra korea. Well, what ordinary living being can describe the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? I've only indicated the general direction in the form of a summary. So Krishnadas says, I'm just writing a summary of Mahaprabhu's Leela. Alokika Leela Prabhur, Alokika Riti, Shunileo, Bhagyahiner Na Hoi Pratiti. The pastimes and methods of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are uncommon. Unfortunate is he who cannot believe even after hearing all these things. Adyopanta Chaitanya Leela Alokika Jan Shraddha Kori Shunamore Adyopanta Chaitanya Leela Lokika Jan Shraddha Kori Shuna Iha Satya Koriman. From beginning to end, the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are uncommon. Just hear them with faith and accept them as true and correct. Jaitarka Korihan se Murka Raj Apanara Munde se Apane Paribaj. Whoever argues about this is a great fool. He intentionally and personally brings a thunderbolt down upon his head. So Krishnadas Kaviraj is saying, just hear of the activities and pastimes of Mahaprabhu with faith. This should not be subject to argument. One should approach the subject as a matter of one's own internal faith. Chaitanya Charitra A. Amritera Sindhu Jagadanande Bhaya Jagadanande Basaya Jara Ek Bindu Chaitanya Charitra A. Amritera Sindhu Jagadanande Basaya Jara Ek Bindu. The pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are an ocean of nectar. Even a drop of this ocean can inundate the whole world with transcendental bliss. Shri Rupa Raghunath Pari Jara As Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishnadas. Shri Rupa Raghunath Pari Jara As Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishnadas. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, I always desiring their mercy, I Krishnadas narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya-lila, 18th chapter, describing the Lord's visit to Sri Vrindaban and his conversion of the Muslim soldiers on the way to Prayag. Okay. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama. Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Garadara Shiva Sari Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Garadara Shiva Sari Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatam Bhatta Raghunath. Jai Rupa Sanatam Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath. H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. Jawaite Vignana Shabista Puran. Jawaite Vignana Shabista Puran. H.I. Gosai Jar Mui Taradas. H.I. Gosai Jar Mui Taradas. Tasabar pada renu mora panchagras. Tasabar pada renu mora panchagras. Tadir charana sevi bhakta sanibas. Der charana sevi bhakta sanibas. Janame more abhilas. Janame more abhilas. Echai gosai jabe braje koilabas. Jai gosai jabe braje koilabas. Radha Krishna nitya lila korila prakash. Radha Krishna nitya lila korila prakash. Anande bolo hari bhaja Vrindaban. Anande bolo hari bhaja Vrindaban. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjayaman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjayaman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamadas. Sankirtana Kohe Naratamadas. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. 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 Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Statara Satashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Satashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Rakshidhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Sunanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishoredas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bharga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath, Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem se Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Bhagwat ki jai. Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavaranya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Madhya-lila Brinda ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda ki jai. Sri Navadip Dham ki jai. Sri Mayapur ki jai. Saparshada Sri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Saparshada Sriman Mahaprabhu ki jai. Sri Kuladweep ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai. Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Sevashram ki jai. Ganga Devi ki jai. Tulasi Madharani ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Vrindaban Dham ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Shri Kartik Vrata ki jai. Shri Damodar Vrata ki jai. Shri Niyama Seva ki jai. Shri Urja Vrata ki jai. The end of the month of Damodar ki jai. And it's also today is Rasa Purnima ki jai, and the arrival of Sri Gauranga Sundar in San Jose Mandir ki jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai.
And the installation ceremony of Gandharvika Rasa Bihari Ju.
Okay. So today, auspicious day. The previous Purnima was called Shravan Ras Purnima, and this is also the Ras Purnima, and it's, as I said, conclusion of the month of Damodar. So we'll be celebrating via Zoom the arrival of Sriman Mahaprabhu of Gauranga Sundar, our dear deity, in St. James Temple in San Jose. So that will be an evening celebration.
Did you hear me about Vrindavan deities too?
Yes. Okay. Jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai.
Jai
Yes.
Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki jai.